Today we put cybernetic implants in a stuffed Pokemon, rent $120,000 of graphics cards, and hack up a voice-activated animatronic smartass to serve my every whim. He's the most advanced project I've ever made, and his name is Christopher.
I use they them pronouns, you monkey-licking lumpy charlatan.
This is exactly what I thought I would do when I grow up.
Welcome to Void Star Lab.
Ladies, gentlemen, and cyborgs of all persuasions, welcome to the thrilling conclusion of my two-part quest for a robot sidekick. We went off the rails in the last episode, and it's only getting worse. This train is about to no-clip into the bedrock and crash through the back rooms. Quick recap. I hate writing code and doing research, so I try to turn a very expensive robot named Misty into my summer intern by piping her speech recognition into a custom server that rephrased questions into answer stubs for a very large text generation model named GPT-J6B to expand into baloney and pepper with procedurally generated insults only to be stymied when Misty's developers revamped the software stack and ruined everything!
That sentence was 69 words, nice.
Today, I took matters into my own hands because we are building a homemade robot from scratch.
Oh really? How many lines of code did you write?
Alright, maybe we're building more of a home-style robot. This episode is sponsored by Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, provider of self-analyzing databases, turnkey chatbots, and scores more cutting-edge web services that deploy at any scale, from Coding 101 to Fortune 500. Their latest introduction, MediaFlow, transcodes, streams, and performs AI analysis on all forms of audio and video, and I've been using it to backfill the subtitles YouTube just refuses to generate for my videos anymore. Click the link in the description for a free account with 6 cores of compute instances, $300 of credit to fritter as you please, and gigabytes of goodies for your next cloud-connected project. We are going to deploy the second most powerful open source AI onto Oracle's single most powerful AI machine and wrap it in a lovable, huggable user interface.
You flatter me, maybe not such a idiotic one after all.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. If you're wondering what happened to Misty, I switched on her slam routine, simultaneous localization and mapping, and left her to zigzag endlessly through the apartment, capturing a 3D point cloud of Void Star Lab and trolling the paws off Millie and the dread Paulette Roberts.
Millie is our foster puppy, and she's looking for a loving family in Colorado to adopt her.
Did you say Colorado? I would have already sent Misty back to Oracle, but I kind of threw her box in a dumpster for a sight gag in the previous video, and I had to cut it anyways. Yeah, I'm gonna make her hitchhike. We're keeping Rob. He's my little baby snuggle puppy.
Boy. Rob's a good boy.
Yeah, I agree. Rob is a good boy. I intended to make my own robot with Blackjack, but I had only a single week to finish this whole shebang, and I ran out of time to write the Blackjack. To hit the deadline, I used as much open shelf off the source. What did I do to this script? Most of which I have linked you-know-where to be perused by you-know-who for the next you-know-what. If you take a single thing away from this episode, Quagsire is not a manatee.
I'm a Japanese giant salamander. You second-class disappointments.
Giant salamanders look like this, and the babies look like this, and that makes a lot more sense than an axolotl evolving into a dugong, doesn't it? Following section contains explicit footage of stuffed animal gore. If you find the crude evisceration of imaginary creatures disturbing, throw your hands in the air and scream loudly while running in circles.
Nope.
First, we scrub, glove, and prep the operating theater for surgery. Quagsire's arms are their primary means of nonverbal communication, so I started by severing the tacking stitches that pinned their paws to their tum-tum. Next, I unstitched the patient's ventral taint flap and banished the batting and beanbag from my bosom buddy's bunghole. After we build and insert the creepy robotic endoskeleton, we are going to stuff some of that stuffing back in, but for now, we want the lifeless husk supple and pliable.
You are one sick scum lover.
It's very important that we carefully position the actuators to prevent ordinary movements from stretching out the fabric. Otherwise, the stitches will loosen, the servos could strip, and in general, the robo-butler is going to look more like Edgar from Men in Black. I 3D printed a little bracket to hold a pair of servos for the arms, and I secured that with a grub screw so I can slide it anywhere on the aluminum backbone. I could have modeled some arm bones, but instead I just lashed some armature wire onto the servo horns.
A 3D printer may be the hammer that makes everything look like a nail, but sometimes you'd be better off with a rock.
Just 11 more rules till you can become a surrogate father for millions of black-pilled 20-somethings. Speaking of a pathological inability to get any tail, Quagsire's rear servo is too low to secure to the backbone. I I had to mount this one under the base plate, which also mounts said backbone to the computer box and routes the wires out of sight. I headed to Micro Center and grabbed a microphone puck designed for business lizards hissing across a conference table. It should be able to pick up my voice anywhere in the room, perfect for a voice assistant. This 3D printed mic mount caps off Christopher's spine, serving triple duty to muffle some servo noise, prevent the sharp corners from ripping the fabric, and cheekily propping up Chris's dome under its curved grill.
Is it safe to turn around yet?
Yeah, I was just telling him about your mic.
It's where my ears would be if Quagsires had ears.
The core of this project is the open source voice assistant Mycroft, a free as in freedom, easy to hack alternative to Alexa, OK Google, hey Siri, text mom, sorry I haven't called lately, I just wanted to let you know I'm okay and I love you, puckered lips emoji, send message. Mycroft is super easy to deploy on a Raspberry Pi. All you have to do is burn the ready to use Pycroft image onto a free as in free SD card from Micro Center SD card and sign up. The RPi GPIO PWM is foobar, so our BOM needs an HAT.
In real words, the Raspberry Pi digital outputs can't control servos, so we need more hardware attached on top.
Did you know that it's not HAT, it's HAT, it's a backronym? Screw your cape, screw your feather wings, stop trying to be special, and just friggin' call everything a shield. My mic is clipped to my shirt, so I can't drop it. I'm gonna have to just drop this prop mic instead. I'm also stacking on a fan hat, which is literally a hat with a fan on it, because continuously processing audio to listen for the wake word is going to keep the CPU chooching and make everything toasty in there. We're going to need an exhaust fan as well, or we are just going to blow the same stale hot air in circles. Christopher needs a punchy speaker to project their artificially generated wisdom, and for this, I'm destroying a piece of history. These are my aperture speakers, a pair of crappy PC cans mounted to surplus X-ray mechanisms, complete with a teensy to open and shut the irises. This is one of my oldest surviving projects. This project is so old, I printed these rings on a replicator too. Nowadays, this thing sounds like a gramophone through a snorkel, and I've been using it to produce my videos. I finally upgraded to big boy studio monitors, so it's time to scrap this project. We'll use the amp, save the apertures, and trash the rest.
Building something yourself doesn't mean you need to keep it forever. Discarding old junk doesn't discard the memories attached to it. 9 rules left till I can publish a self-help bestseller.
I launched Fusion 360 and whipped up a tidy enclosure to hide the electronics and give Christopher the high ground. I forgot to turn on infill for the bottom, so it's as fragile as an eggshell, but I'm in a hurry, so I shipped it anyways.
Woe thanks you, sad octopus defelling deformed dipstick.
I deserve that. The amp and power plug mount to the bottom part, the Pi and hat stack screw into the middle, the base plate with the mic and Quagsire top it off, an exhaust fan, intake grill, and 4-inch speaker complete the build. Note that there's only a single power socket. We're powering the Pi off the 5-volt pin on the servo shield. And CERN trolls will comment that this bypasses all the Raspberry Pi's protection circuits, making it significantly more likely to explode the Pi. And you know what? They're right. So here you go, you fake caring cry bullies, a TVS diode and a capacitor to mitigate surges.
You have to remind people you can be nice, so when you act like a fart stain, they know it's personal. 8 rules left.
I plugged Christopher's servos into the PWM hat, and since the fan and amp run off 5 volts too, I crimped on connectors and plugged them into the unused ports. The mic has to go into a USB port outside the enclosure, so I added this little hole to loop the cable back in. The finishing touch is a speaker grill festooned with my sexiest and onlyest logo. I finished it up, I plugged it in, and it twitched twice, spewed smoke, and melted the enclosure.
Psych.
It's kind of sad that, like, so many things go so wrong so often around here that a lack of catastrophe is, you know, the surprise.
The moral of the story is that if you want things to work, don't let this slovenly cringe goblin build it. Just 7 rules left till I can become a new reactionary ideologue.
Hey, don't make me pull out the de-radicalizing hammer.
Let's cancel culture, you totally disposable tuber simping but huffing nozzle booery on my face. Let's debate it and trust people to decide the truth for themselves. Ouchie's right in the microphone.
I left too much play in the base plate, that's why he's leaning right.
Let's talk about monetary reparations for non-Asian, non-Jewish minorities.
Now it's going too far to the left.
Capitalism has historically improved quality of life, but only when tempered by a functioning regulatory apparatus and strong labor.
There we go. Dead center. And that's our hardware done. The mic in their head picks up my voice from across the room, a pair of fans keeps everything cool, and the speaker amp combo lets Chris shout the response over the very loud and extremely cheap servo motors. Now that our hardware is built and tested, it's time to wake Quagsire up inside with software. First order of business is getting the servos moving as Quagsire talks, and my hack is filthier than a porta potty at a chili cook-off. PiOS, as well as most other Linuxes, use a utility called Pulse Audio to mix and patch sound between mics, programs, and speakers. We can have Pulse create a virtual microphone called a monitor to eavesdrop on whatever's being sent to the speakers. I already wrote some code for the subtitle hoodie to detect when the audio level reaches a certain volume, so I copy-pasted that in, wrote a simple algorithm.
He wrote a simple algorithm to flail my arms and tail, and wrapped it in a systemd service to launch it on boot. How do you have so much trouble saying your lines when you have a teleprompter on your face?
Now, whenever anything makes a loud sound, Chris's arms will gesticulate like...
A YouTuber stretching a gimmicky weekend project into 20 minutes of content.
That brings us to the fun part, the back end. No, not that back end, silly Billy. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, the sponsor of this video. Last time, we deployed a web server on their free ARM Core compute instances, but all that had to do was forward questions to the stupid name AI purveyor Hugging Face. There are now 3 artificial neural network language models at play, 2 of which we are going to do ourselves, and they are serious business. The speech-to-text transcribes audio into words. The text generator extends these into technobabble hogwash. The text-to-speech takes the output and expresses it in song!
Oh, hey, you'll know. You are not going to make me sing.
Not until the musical episode. Like, comment, subscribe. By default, Mycroft listens with Google Speech-to-Text, answers with Wolfram Alpha, and speaks using their in-house Mimic 2 engine. We are going to build our own speech-to-text and answer generation servers, but I decided to hang on to the default text-to-speech.
Mimic 2 is pretty good already. Listen to this smooth baritone.
Plus, I only have like 10 hours left to finish this entire thing, and... you know... Not only are Google and Wolfram Alpha hoovering our data schneef, they are running these free jobs at the lowest priority on the cheapest hardware, and to add insult to injury, we have to wait our turn behind all the other robot Quagsires. The sheer amount of power you would need to transcribe, extend, and generate speech close to real time is truly nuts, and they would never let me use such powerful hardware for free.
It's a good thing Zack is truly insane and Oracle let us use their most powerful hardware for free.
First order of business, speech-to-text. Oracle themselves actually offers a pretty good transcription service, and while it is surprisingly accurate, it's intended for bulk transcribing hours of audio. We're talking stuff like call centers and content creators.
It seems you are a shell as well as a corn cob.
You just call me a corn cob? We want real-time speech-to-text that returns results the instant I stop yammering. So I provisioned one of Oracle's beefy AMD servers and installed DeepSpeech. This is Mozilla's free open-source deep learning speech-to-text. A handy open-source project called DeepTregs wraps it in a web server, giving us our own personal API that goes to work the instant the first phoneme streams in. We get our text back mere milliseconds after the final packet arrives. This is awesome because the official Mycroft speech-to-text system doesn't stream audio, it batches it, so the work doesn't even begin till you finish the sentence. DeepSpeech is a noticeable drop in quality, but a major hike in speed.
It's true, Brooke is triggering my lines remotely because doing it live would need a million takes.
But we need a million takes anyways! In the first episode, I spent a lot of time explaining the GPT, the Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Executive summary, it is a very deep learning model that accepts a prompt and splices on relevant words, building up arbitrary amounts of text that can seem alarmingly human. Great phrase. We used a hosted off-the-shelf instance of the open-source linguistics model GPT-J6B, which took about 3 seconds to generate 100 tokens, most of which were wasted repeating our question back to us. This time, we go it alone, and we go hard. When in doubt, Pull the slider to the right. Wait, that's my right. I provisioned the most powerful GPU accelerated configuration Oracle Cloud Compute even offers, the BM GPU 4.8. This Chad pewter has a 64-core AMD EPYC, 2 terabytes of RAM, and 8 NVIDIA A100-M GPUs.
Each A100 has 40 gigabytes of VRAM and costs about $15,000 human dollars.
$15,000! We get 8 of them. The BM stands for bare metal because this is not a virtual machine. When I flip the switch, I take exclusive command of a rack-mounted supercomputer in Ashburn, Virginia. It costs $25 to run this machine for 1 hour. My $5,000 of credit will last a little over 8 days.
It's just like the miracle of Robonica.
Oikavault. The BM GPU 4.8 is ridiculous overkill for running GPT-J6B, so we're going to upgrade to its successor, GPT-NeoX 20B, an optimized and bigged 20 billion parameter model. This is cutting-edge stuff. NeoX is the second largest open source neural network, and it does such an impressive job of answering questions, we can ditch all the natural language spaghetti from the last episode and just dump the questions straight into the network. I simply deployed the NeoX project's ready-to-run container, wrapped the example code in Flask, and we had ourselves a web API. Can you make me a sandwich becomes...
I can make you a sandwich, but it will not be a very good one.
Which pickle can demystify the longest ninjas becomes...
There is no definitive answer to this question, as different pickles can work differently for different ninjas. However, some of the most popular pickles for demystifying ninjas include cucumber pickles, dill pickles, and bread and butter pickles. Also with the...
We're left with a single problem. GPT-NeoX is just too polite. I made it clear that I cannot respect someone unless they insult me, so I dug up Misty's insult generator and ported it to Python. I promised you I'd share it, and I sure did, so check that description.
I've been using it the whole time. I agree with Misty. There's some good I do.
Tell you what, why don't I give you a free shot? Hit me with your best.
You, good sir, are a glue-sucking, old, miserable, hairy sausage butt.
I loaded each category of words into GPT-NeoX and had it generate some more. So now Christopher can add their own personal flavor. The adjectives list now includes gems like...
Balding, greasy, gross, insufferable, embarrassing, depressing, pathetic, irrelevant, dumb, bold, disgusting, crusty.
The noun list has things like...
Igomani, buffoon, lettuce, luigi, fork, toilet, poo-tang.
If none of Mycroft's built-in utilities like the weather skill can answer a question, Christopher will forward the query to NeoX. Christopher, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling fine, thank you.
Christopher, how do I use an oscilloscope?
To use an oscilloscope, first connect the probe to the oscilloscope channel and ground. Next, turn on the power and adjust the settings on the oscilloscope. Finally, observe the waveform on the screen.
I didn't think I'd say this, but Christopher, the artificially intelligent Quagsire, actually does a pretty good job of answering my questions. Christopher, what kind of glue works best on printed parts?
There is no definitive answer to this question as it depends on the materials used in the deprint and the desired result. Some common options include superglue, epoxy, and acrylic adhesives.
Last one. Christopher, how do I convince viewers to join our Discord at discord.gg/voidstarlab?
There is no one answer to this question since it depends on the type of audience you are trying to reach and what kind of messaging will resonate with them. However, some possible strategies you can use include creating a promotional video or blog post about the benefits of joining your Discord server, or hosting a contest or giveaway that can only be entered by members of your Discord server. You could also try reaching out to influencers or popular members of your target audience and asking them to promote your Discord server to their followers.
Unfortunately, it really only splashes out with the wacky goofball stuff when it mishears the question. Sensible input tends to produce surprisingly sensible output. I built a system to generate garbage, but all I got was gold.
Mission successfully failed.
I think Christopher came out pretty well for a few days butt busting, and I'm gonna be sad in like 4 days when I run out of Oracle credits and kill the servers. But the MVPs behind the cloud, above the robot, beside the man, are Voidstar Labs patrons. Folks like our featured lab scientists, Patrick Schless, Ragnarocker, and Moist Dust. I don't actually know which side of me the subtitles are going to end up on. Of course, I would also like to thank our profoundly generous collaborators: Brian D. Swollen Nut, Castor the Catboy, Jeremy Arnold Schweddy Vag, Command, Chuck Fadouk Small Dong, and Karen Houseman, the only Karen I will ever respect. I've hidden their names in this episode. Can you trace their location? And now I must thank our lab assistant supporters, true innovators in the field of silly usernames. These magnificent bastards include My Dog is a Bear, Trump Did Nothing Wrong, Azundo Wielder of Iron, Heater of Shrink, SXP, Lydia K, Burbasar Did Nothing Wrong Yet, Bumtickly69, Nani, Katz, Michael Roche, Protagonist, Trans Rights, Bill Schooler, Talon Democratic Socialist, and Pretty Righteous Dude Zack, Period Clots, DSA, The Cuttlefish, Jacques, Good Suck, the letter Z, and I double struck it for some reason because it's my channel and I do what I want. Roger Pinkham of the Great Star Theater, Ryan Guler, Kevin DeGraff, Brad Stormer, Gary Duvall, the Benevolent Misanthrope, the Antifa, Onyx PL4GUE, Max Lux says, you can't fix it, you don't own it. So Derbington of Derptopia, Scroto Saggins, Bob Dovington, Nathan Johnson, Hank Scorpio, Zoestra, Kyle Fisher, Ethan Gomes, One Handful of Beans, Brad Cox, Bagel, Xanforian, Boulder Creek Yard James, Rusty Flute, Powerful CCH, Good Lady Nat, Queen of Lemons, Victor of the Great Citrus Wars, Varka, Eddie, Isekai Elf, Mahiro Chan Desina, Ashley Coleman, Burrenduck 3, Trucku, 6, Steven 6 foot 6 figure 6-pack Schulte, Granville Schmidt, Arrow Raider, Iron Rain, Booba Kiss, Thomas B. Myers, Urgabled Vajazzle, Stormby Design, and Lord Anarok, Bringer of Chaos, Master of Calamity, Nemesis of Goats, Zebras, and other even-toed ungulates. Christopher, you got any parting words for our lovely viewers?
Thanks for watching, and I'll analyze you to discover your weakness in the future.
Christopher, how do we know the Earth is flat?
There is no conclusive evidence either way, so it is ultimately up to each individual to decide what they believe. Out to kavibble my frickin' face.